Rick Lacer dropping the bombshell that Gervonta Davis is supposedly retired. Now, last time we saw Tank, he was fighting custody battles.
I feel like he's been talking about retirement for like a while. It actually genuinely does seem like he's kind of fed up with the sport. It also seems like he has a ton of personal problems as well.
Tank wasn't even in the gym or hadn't been in the gym for a couple weeks.
Now we have Coach Kellen Ford say that those rumors are wrong. Tank is not retiring.
Tank isn't really talking himself, so it kind of leaves us in the dark. Let's say the rumors are true. What would you rank Gervonta Davis's career?
I'd be a little bit disappointed because I feel like with his skill set, he could have done a lot more. We still wanted to see him fight Shakur Stevenson, try to go undisputed, maybe go up to 140.
At the end of the day, there was a lot of potential, but it was very short-lived.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over and giving our official top 5 for the 154 division, as well as going over the rumors regarding Gervonta Davis and his retirement. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And now diving into the episode, we've been talking about the 154 division a lot within the last year or so, and rightfully so. It's the best division in boxing. It is packed with quality fighters, and it's definitely the division, in my opinion, that has the most momentum going on regarding the champions, regarding the contenders, and regarding the big fights that could be made at the 154. What are guys' thoughts about this division?
Yeah, man, it's one of those divisions where like the champions can change in any moment. I mean, we got Terence Crawford, one of the top guys, obviously, going up to 168. It's not even clear if he's going to come back down to 154 after his fight with Canelo. We got Xander Zayas. He's super young in a super stacked division. Is he going to be able to keep his title for a year or two, get some title defenses? It's really unclear.
Yeah, and I feel like another added detail to add, I feel like maybe for the casuals, is the fact that from the weight class at 147 to 154, that is when we see the glove change within the professional rankings. We see anyone at 147 and below, they fight in 10-ounce gloves. 154 and above is just 8-ounce gloves. 8-ounce gloves is nothing. Like, it doesn't really weigh that much. Like, it's really not too crazy. And so I feel like it's a lot. So it's like a big change as well for like the fighters that have fought at 147 to 154. You know, we got champions at like, you know, Crawford, 147, 154. And then now he's looking to going up all the way to 168 as well. So like, that's another thing that like sometimes it goes overlooked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's a big change, especially now also. I mean, we got Boots coming into the division from the 147. So he is going to be an added name to the roster, and it's one that, you know, a lot of people are definitely hyped for. I mean, there's rumors about him taking on Josh Kelly, who's in the top he's in top 3 in both the IBF and the WBO. I'm not too knowledgeable on Josh Kelly, but he's a name that they're putting up or pinning against Boots once Boots comes into the 154 division for his debut.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like, I don't know, all these guys from 147, usually in their career, they go up to 154. But I don't know if we should still include Boots yet at the 154 division. I mean, he hasn't had a fight yet. He's obviously the top guy at 147. He has a belt there. But at the 154, listen, I don't have him in my top 5 list just because he hasn't fought yet. You know, should we include him? Should we not include him? I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I'm not. Like, I feel like he's in that transitional period. So, like, he's kind of like in between. He was / is, but he's not anymore, the champion at 147. So, he's eyeing at 150, you know, he's eyeing to get his feet wet at 154. So, we'll wait and see on that. So, for within my top 5 rankings, I don't have him there. But in regards with the champions, I guess before we actually fully, discuss our list, Zayas is for sure the weakest champion. Congrats to him. At 22 years old, becoming a world champion. Very few people have done that. And it's a very big accomplishment. For him in his career. I know his coach. This is the first time his coach has ever trained a fighter to be, to then train him up and then get him at the world championship status. So congrats to both of them. It's a team effort and whatnot. But I think for me, he is definitely the weakest champion at 154.
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt about that. I think a lot of the fans would agree with that statement, except the Puerto Rican fans. I think they'd have something to say, especially because we posted a poll last week, for a matchup who would win between Vergil Ortiz and Xander Zayas. And I mean, Ortiz was, on the poll was the favorite in winning. But I was looking at the comments and I saw a lot of people backing up Xander, saying that Zayas would outbox Vergil. He's world champion. Vergil Ortiz, he's, where's his belt at? And I mean, this beef started to heat up a bit more because Vergil Ortiz himself went on Twitter, congratulated Xander for becoming the champion, but it was more like a backhand compliment, because then he started going at him saying, yo, like, we know that your opponent that you fought for the championship title was barely top 15. My opponent back in 2019 against Antonio Orozco, I believe, was a tougher fight than who you fought for the belt. Also, why wasn't my fight against Madrimov for the vacant title? Seems like it was being held up for someone. Pretty much claiming that the WBO was holding up the belt in order to give it to Xander Zayas.
Yeah, I felt like that whole situation was just so interesting, because I feel like Vergil isn't really that type of fighter. He doesn't really talk on social media, even when he's getting interviewed, like on the mic. Not really a big talker, not a guy that, calls out or disrespects fighters. But on Twitter, I mean, he put a whole ass paragraph in there. I got like halfway and I was just like, it's too much words, So I didn't, but like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I think he definitely brought up some good points. I agree with them for the most part, that, people can say, oh, Vergil doesn't have a world title, and he's been at 147 and at 154, doesn't have a world title yet. But let's get something straight. Ortiz has a much better resume than Xander Zayas. He's been through a lot harder battles, a lot tougher tests, and I think if they were to go to head-to-head, it's a no-brainer that Vergil Ortiz would be the victor.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I feel like typically within Vergil Ortiz's personality, inside the ring, outside the ring, very humble, but very much so reserved. Like, he almost never says anything bad about his opponent, promotional company, because we know his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya is definitely a character. He's never said anything bad or good about it. Well, he said good things about him, but he's never said anything bad about him. But he's very much a reserved person unless you provoke him. And I believe Zayas said a few words about him, and I think it prompted Ortiz, maybe a little bit of the fans as well, trying to get him to say something as well, because, it is true he's a little bit older than Zayas, and he hasn't been a champion. Now, this is his third weight class that he has competed at, and yet no belt. But don't get it twisted, he does, he wants all the smoke. Whoever is put in front of him, he is guaranteed to go and put 110% in his fight, whoever it is. But in regards to his actual declaration or his paragraph to what he said to Zayas, I think it was kind of unbiased, and I think it was a pretty much a good perspective. I think Zayas did kind of get the belt granted to him, but at least he's not an emo champion. We see those very common, in today's boxing era. So at least, he fought for the belt and, he won it. But that doesn't change the fact that he's still the weakest link within the champions.
Yeah, I mean, that beef, that paragraph that Vergil posted on X, I mean, Xander himself replied saying like, okay, like, talk to me when you win a belt, you know. That was his response, and then Vergil responded back saying, talk to me when you fight a top 10 fighter. So I mean, this is a good little heat, you know, that we're getting, especially if it's kind of like with George Kambosos, you know, when he became champion after being Teofimo, everyone was calling them out. You had Sugar Shakur, you had Haney, you had all these other fighters at the 135 saying like, hey, like, I want to fight you, champ. I want to fight you, champ. And it might be that same scenario for Xander Zayas. I mean, we'll see what he decides to do regarding his title defense, which I'm sure we're not going to get a unification. We're probably going to get a couple title defenses for him. But the fighters, especially at 154, are for sure eyeing Xander.
Well, I thought that little exchange was interesting as well, because it kind of highlights like something. There's a difference between Xander Zayas having, let's say, better accolades or accomplishments. He's a world champion. You know, that's basically the pinnacle of boxing, not including unified and undisputed, but like world champion, you basically made it, right? That's every boxer's dream. Whereas Vergil Ortiz, okay, he doesn't have a world champion, so he doesn't have that accolade in his legacy. But what he does have is hard tests. He's fought great fighters that Xander Zayas hasn't fought, and I think he has the better skills. But, you know, on paper, it might look like Xander Zayas is more accomplished than him. So there's a little difference, a little disconnect, especially when we're about to get into our top 5 lists. It's not all about belts or accolades. Skills at the end of the day pay the bills. So, you know, someone might not have the belt, but that doesn't mean he's not better than the champion.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it definitely does. Because, yeah, I saw a lot of people, especially the fans online, bashing Vergil. You know, pretty much like you said, I mean, he's been at, 140? I mean, even though he was there just early on, very early on in his career, but 147, now 154, and he's yet to get become a champion. At that point, do you blame the promoter in the team for not, getting him that opportunity? Or what? Why hasn't Vergil gotten that opportunity yet? I mean,
look, I mean, there could be a number of reasons why. One, I feel like it's the main hurdle. It's the business side. You know what I'm saying? Like at 147, especially like when Crawford and Spence fought. Yeah, I mean, Vergil Ortiz was at 147 at that time still, if I'm not mistaken. He was like there at that weight class. But like, within the belts, like they were already held up, and then they were going to unify. So then that really puts on hold every contender, like top 5, top 10 people that are possibly have the opportunity to fight for a belt. They're not able to get that opportunity. So then, I mean, Vergil is a guy who was also killing himself at 147, so we also had to look at that as well. Within his own personal career, health issues at 147. So it prompted him to move to 154. Because we were eyeing to see him fight against Boots at 147. Didn't happen. So there's a few things here and there. There's always going to be some things that. I think within boxing, we're kind of used to or accustomed to like what ifs, What if Boots and Ortiz would have fought at 147? What if, such and such? I can give a list of examples. We got Holyfield and, Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis. They never fought. Even in their prime, like even past their prime, they never fought, but they should have fought. And it's one of those what ifs. Mm-hmm. So within regards to Ortiz's career, it just didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. So at 154, he's definitely right there eyeing for an opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like at 154, I don't know. I feel like he should have gotten an opportunity, especially like the guys that he's fought, Bohacek and Madrimov. I feel like you should basically be the next in line to fight for a world title. At 147, I understand it. Like you said, there was some big names going on. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence were basically the ones that were. We were trying to see who was going to be the undisputed champion. So Vergil Ortiz didn't really have a very big opportunity. When two fighters like that dominate a division, there's nothing really you can do. It's like David Benavidez at 175. you know, he's like, well, I guess he is a world champion now. He's an email champ, but you know, sometimes the belts mandate fights and then they strip the fighters. But I mean, everyone is basically waiting for Bivol and Better Beeve. So at 154, I feel like he should have gotten a title shot. I don't know, maybe De La Hoya just kind of forgot about him or something. I mean, he's put him up against some tough opponents, and Ortiz still doesn't have anything to show for it, which is, you know, it's kind of disappointing. It's kind of disheartening for him. Like, I fought all these guys, even at 147, he was fighting some good opponents, and he still doesn't have any belts or any accolades. So, you know, hopefully after this call out with Zayas, he can change it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is the interim for the WBC for Sebastian Fundora's belt, so he does have that to his name right now. But yeah, I can definitely understand the I'd be disappointed if I was Vergil, knowing that how can I fought not Bohachuk and Madrimov back to back, and yeah, I don't have the belt, but I'm looking at Zayas, and he's fighting for a belt and won himself a belt before I did. It's I'd be a little irritated too, but it doesn't, I don't think it changes the fact that Vergil Ortiz is definitely a better fighter than Xander Zayas. But now that we're talking about this, let's go down to our top 5. Who wants to kick it off?
Well, I mean, I feel like we can all agree that the number 1 has to be Sebastian Fundora. Am I tripping or am I not tripping?
You're tripping.
I agree. I personally agree.
No way. Rula, you don't have Sebastian Fundora, the 6'6", towering inferno, who's destroying the division right now, as number 1?
If I'm not mistaken, within the boxing, when he's wearing boxing shoes, I'm pretty sure it's like 6'7". So, no, I do not have him as number 1. I'll go first. Within my number 1 is Crawford. I'm going to give Crawford number 1 because, I mean, granted, he only had, as of right now, he has only had 1 fight. But I'm going to put him up higher because he has bigger obligations. He's going up to 168. So, he has bigger things there. So, as of right now, and then within his pound for pound rankings, he's still, what is he, 3, 2? He's within the top 3 within the recent Ring magazine. So, I'm going to put him as number 1. Number 2, I have Murtazaliev. Murtazaliev is a guy who a lot of people may not know, but I mean, this guy is a Russian killer. This guy is cold-blooded. This guy is the one who many say ended Tim Tsz유's career.
It's true.
Next, I have Fundora. That is my number 3. That guy is super tall. This guy is such a unique and weird, interesting specimen, right? And yeah. And then 4, I'm going to have Zayas because he is the champion. It is very hard to become a champion. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things, there's a lot of components that, that make it hard to become a world champion, and he got it at the young age of 22. So I'm going to put him as number 4. And then number 5, I'm going to have Vergil Ortiz. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine's a little different, because I feel like my mentality is like what I was saying before, like, yeah, Zayas has a belt, and on paper, maybe he should be a little bit higher. But in my personal opinion, and like the skill-wise in the division, I don't think he's top 5, honestly. So my number 1, Sebastian Fundora. I think it goes without saying. I think he's been extremely active. And I think he's been getting better. Like, it's just the more dominant that he seems to be getting. He seems to getting more comfortable. He's getting more dimensions as well. I feel like before he was trying to fight a little too much, trying to get on the inside a little too much. Now I think he's getting more comfortable using his range, which is like gonna make him damn near impossible to beat. Like at 6'6" with he probably has like an advantage of arm reach, but like 5 to 8 inches against every opponent he's ever going to face. So, I mean, it's just going to be incredibly hard to beat someone that physical. And then number 2, listen, I got Vergil Ortiz. He's not a champion. He doesn't have anything, to his name, not even at 147. But he has been through so much, man. Like, he's been tested. He's been tried before. And I think he has the skills to literally any champion that you put in front of him, and Zayas, not even a question, he's going to beat them. Or he's gonna at least give a good fight. So I have him at number 2. Number 3, Terence Crawford. I feel like it goes without saying. Crawford, obviously, everyone regards him like a god, basically. I might take a little bit more hesitant stance on him. I don't think. First of all, he's very inactive, which is something, it's like a double-edged sword. Maybe he gives his body more time to recover, but I mean, I like boxers that are active. I like boxers that fight more than once a year, and he only fights once a year. He fought Madrimov. It was a competitive fight, man, very close, but he did good. So number 3, I think it goes without saying. Number 4, I have Bakram Murtazaliev. Like you said, not many people know this guy. He's more of a dark horse at the 154, but he does have a belt, and he's been calling out for like all the top guys at 154. He's been itching for a shot to, finally go mainstream. And I think when he goes mainstream, I think the casuals, I think, are gonna like him. Yeah. He's a fan-friendly fighter. He throws a lot of punches. He hits hard like crazy. So I think he deserves number 4. And number 5, I have Madrimov. So me personally, I don't have Zayas in my top 5. I think, he's a world champion, so he does deserve respect and credit. But skill for skill, I think anybody in that top 5, I think anybody beats him. So listen, I think he's young. He has plenty of potential and plenty of work and plenty of time. So he doesn't have to be the best guy at the 154 yet. He still has so much to learn. So he could definitely, if he keeps on impressing us and keeps on learning and getting better, he can crack the top 5. But right now, I have him like at 7.
That's a good list. I would agree with your number 1. My number 1 is Sebastian Fundora. I agree. Yeah, he's every fight ever since the first Tim Tszyu fight, it seems that he's been gradually improving. I mean, if you look at the Booker fight, it looked like he was finally using and utilizing his range and his height, and he beat the shit out of Booker. And then same with the rematch with Tim Tszyu. I mean, it seemed that Tim Tszyu this time wasn't able to connect as clean. Of course, Fundora is, he's always going to get clipped. Every single fight I think I've seen him, he always gets clipped hard. But, I mean, he's now utilizing his height and his range, and I think it's going to become something he's going to hone to a higher degree. And I think it's going to be a very, very tough task to be a fighter like Sebastian Fundora. So he is my number 1 fighter at the 154. My number 2, same as Asa, I think it's Vergil Ortiz. Just the names that he's fighting, man. I mean, how do you go from Bohachuk to Madrimov back to back? A hard fight in Bohachuk, one of the fight of the years of 2024, to fighting Madrimov, former world champion, and also, the dude who gave Terence Crawford a good fight, a very competitive fight. So Vergil Ortiz, based on those 2 performances, really impressed me. I've always been a Vergil Ortiz fan, but him going back to back like that against 2 very tough fighters, especially top 5, top 10 contenders, I mean, it really set it for me that he is definitely number 2 in my rankings. For number 3, I have the IBF champion Bakram Murtazaliev. It's with no question to ask, his style is pure aggression, pure carnage. I mean, the way he dismantled Tim Tszyu, the way he upset him, and the way that he performed that fight was definitely a game changer. And it seems to me that like a lot of fighters are plainly ducking him. I mean, they just don't want the smoke. Respect to Hammer Time Lubin for wanting to smoke with him. That seems to be the fight that's set for Murtazaliev, who hasn't fought since the Tim Tszyu fight last year. So respect to Lubin, but I mean, I don't see any other champion calling out Murtazaliev. So it really tells me a lot about the pedigree that Murtazaliev is as a fighter. Now, my number 4 is where it's going to differentiate. Now, my number 4, I have Serhiy Bohachuk. Now, man, I feel like everyone's sleeping on him. He fought a Fight of the Year contender against Vergil Ortiz last year, dropped him twice. And look, a lot of people after the fight said, oh, Bohachuk got robbed. It don't matter. He lost the fight, It is what it is. But it showed me that Bohachuk, this motherfucker can take punches and he can give him back, and he is one dude who stylistically is a fan friendly as well. May not have the most impressive skills compared to like a fighter like maybe Madrimov or Terence Crawford, but he is one that is going to be a very tough guy to beat, man. And I mean, if he was able to drop Vergil Ortiz twice and push him to the limit like that, it's going to be a very tough fight for anyone. He was also set to fight Madrimov back in December last year, but the fight fell through. I forgot what was the reason for it, but I think it's because
Injury.
I think it was an injury, and then Madrimov went the route to take on Vergil Ortiz for February, I believe. So they ended up changing it. But I mean, hey, I think Bohachek is definitely a top 5 contender in the division, and he's rightfully so in my number 4. And now my number 5, I have Israel Madrimov. I believe that he is still a very good fighter. I mean, he's coming off 2 losses, of course, against Crawford and Vergil Ortiz, but I think there's no shame in losing to Crawford. And the Vergil Ortiz fight was definitely, I had I predicted Ortiz to win, so I was very happy, but I know Madrimov for sure was not keen on that performance. But I mean, the fighters he's lost to at the division have been quality, so I don't take much away from him. He's still a quality fighter, and I'm more than certain that he would give a lot of these top contenders and a lot of these champions a very tough time, which is why I have him as number 5. But I mean, I didn't mention Crawford. I didn't mention Zayas. The Crawford mainly because this dude is going out to 168. If you're not going to fight in the division, I'm not going to put you in the top 5, even though he's a champion. And there's talks of him vacating the belt either way. And then Zayas, I just don't think he's at the level of a top 5. And I agree with Asa. He's got time, he's got potential, but at the moment he does not crack my top 5. So that was our official top 5s individually. Any surprises within that we heard from each other's top 5?
I guess maybe within me. Look, I guess with Fundora, like I would put him as number 1 as well. But I mean, he could definitely move, you know what I'm saying, after or at the end of this year, he's for sure going to be moved. We're going to see the result within Crawford and Canelo. Murtazaliev, I'm not sure. Maybe he could fight this year or next year. I mean, this guy, no one wants to fight him, and there's a reason why. But within Fundora, it's just going to be very tough for any of the other champions to beat him, and any of the top 5 to beat him as well. Like, this guy is just super tall, super long, and within his fight against Booker earlier this year, this guy, it looks like he's finally like clicked, or looked like it finally clicked. The little light bulb went out or went up in his head that, if I fight an opponent at a distance, I can reduce my damage that I'm taking, and I can dish out a lot of damage. And I think now we are seeing different elements, different angles, different dimensions within his game plan. And so I think for sure he can for sure move up, I guess, within my list higher up. But as of right now, I'm going to keep him as number 3.
Yeah. And I think, listen, for my number 3, mine was Crawford. And I think resume plays like a big role into that, because I feel like Crawford has so much hype right now. Like, it's actually insane. I think people are like, they cling on to that Errol Spence performance, and they think that that's the Crawford that, like, it's always been like that. No. It hasn't always been like that. He's had some very tough fights, man. Like, he's not invincible, and people talk about him like he's invincible just because of that Spence fight.
And that was 2 fights ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago too. Like, it's not. It's been a long time, man. He's getting older, and look at his last fight against Madrimov, who, listen, Madrimov, tough opponent, extremely rugged, so much experience in the amateur rankings, in the professional rankings. I mean, also very, very good, very good career. But was he world champion, or was it for the vacant?
He was world champ.
Oh, he was world champ. Okay, then okay, that's a world. I think that was a pretty good win, but I don't think. I mean, I feel like that fight should have dispelled all of the invincible rumors for Terence Crawford, because he didn't look invincible in there. He didn't look like when he fought Errol Spence and he, couldn't even get touched. He got touched in there. It was a very hard fight for him. He's going up now to 168 at 38 years old. I mean, like, that's like a mega fight that you retire from. That's like
win or lose.
Exactly. He's gonna get millions and millions, the biggest paycheck of his career. For being honest, he's not gonna win. Like, I don't know how people are saying he's gonna win this fight against Canelo at 168. I think once again they're holding on to this idea of him when he fought Errol Spence. So I don't know. Yeah, Crawford is a bit of a weird one at 154. Very uncertain of his future. But I think I don't know. Like they give him a little bit too much credit right now. I think they got to bring him back down to earth and really objectively assess his skills.
Yeah, I mean Crawford is definitely. I mean because the ring dropped their top 10 154 division list sometime last week, and I saw a lot of people in the comments on X were saying like, "Yo, get Crawford out of there." You know, a lot of people were upset about Crawford being in the list, and I mean I understand why, which is why I didn't put him in my list. I mean, if you're gonna go out to a different division, I mean he's only fought once, okay, at 154, and then he's now out at 168. I assume it's gonna be a retirement fight. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna see him at 154. I'm not gonna have him on the list. I think there's hungry champions, hungry contenders there in the division that deserve a spot over Terence Crawford, who seems to have his eyes set on a different prize. So no disrespect to Crawford. He's a great fighter, great champ, but I mean he's not cracking my top 5 at all just because of those reasons. So I mean honestly, I think we had a pretty decent list. I think yours was the biggest difference. Yeah, but it's definitely up for interpretation. It all really just relies on the fan and what they like to see when it comes to their fighters. So overall, those were our official three official top 5 fighters at the 154 division, aka the best division in boxing today. And now we move towards the final segment of today's episode, Tank Davis. Now, last time we saw Tank, he was fighting custody battles, and he's bailing out of jail, stuff like that. It hasn't been the best moment for him ever since that draw against Lamont Roach earlier this year. And then the bomb dropped with Rick Lacer, who's a very, big name reporter on X, dropping the bombshell that Gervonta Davis is supposedly retired because he's fed up of boxing, So thoughts about that?
Well, my initial thought was no. My initial thought was like, I mean, he has a rematch scheduled for Lamont Roach. But as I thought about it more, I feel like he's been talking about retirement for like a while. He said he only has like 3 fights left or 4 fights left. I don't even remember when, but like pretty recently. And I always interpreted that as like, I think he's lying. All these boxers, they always say they're retiring and they never do. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, it actually genuinely does seem like he's kind of fed up with the sport. It also seems like he has a ton of personal problems as well. I mean, he just went to jail. He's out on bail. He's going through the whole court battle, and he also has to be like 100% focused on boxing. It doesn't really work, You really have to give your attention to boxing, not start worrying about legal battles and all this type of stuff. So it's possible, and I'd hate for that to happen because I still think he has plenty of good years in the sport. And I feel like with his skills, he could accomplish so much more. So we also miss out on a lot of what if fights, with him and Shakur and all these other guys at 135 and at 140. So it'd honestly be sad, man, but he hasn't came out with an official statement, so we don't really know. So that's kind of the worst, though. The fans are just like in this state of not knowing whether or not, even if the fight with Roach, even if the rematch with Roach is going to continue, we don't even know.
Yeah. For me, look, here's the thing. Initially, I was like, no. Obviously, Tank Davis is not retiring because there's so much potential fights that I think a lot of people want to see him be in. But like, here's the thing. Within the fans, and now that I've had time to think about it a little bit, just like the fans, this is all we know. Davis was arrested June 15th. Arrested and then released once he posted bail. Boom. And then he has a court hearing the August 12th. So up until from then to now, that's all we know. And then we heard that little rumor from Rick Glacier. And then now we have Coach Calvin Ford say that actually those rumors are wrong. Tank is not retiring. But within the legal battles, or when it comes to that type of situation, he was arrested on domestic battery. It was a misdemeanor, but I mean, okay. But
He's also been arrested before as well. And wasn't it for the same charge or was it for something else?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was a similar charge.
Like assault. It was like something assault, something battery. I don't remember exactly what, but the body cam of that always goes viral whenever they put it. So
yeah, there's also that, and then his first previous relationship with the mother of his daughter, first child. There's also that video where he goes to that basketball court and then like takes her out of the game. So I mean, so when it comes to domestic disputes, and there's children involved, it might go to family court, and then that gets a little bit more messier. So to be honest, up until 15th, up until August 12th, we'll have a better understanding of like what's gonna happen within Tank's career and his proceedings and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the rematch was rumored to take place in August, if I remember correctly, after March. So, I mean, we're already in August. So, I mean, no talk about the rematch. I mean, they keep pushing it back. Supposedly, there's no venue. There's also rumors that Tank wasn't even in the gym anymore, or hadn't been in the gym for a couple of weeks. So we really do not know what is going on regarding Gervonta, regarding these rumors. I mean, like you said, Calvin Ford came out and said that those were rumors. I mean, they're false, fake news type stuff. But I mean, based on what we're seeing, I mean, we're not seeing a lot of response, or Tank isn't really talking himself, so it kind of leaves us in the dark in that aspect. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the months of August, and to see whether or not Tank is going to speak up about it or not. But I mean, look, if he does, let's say the rumors are true and he is retired, I mean, what would you guys consider his career to be? A very successful career, disappointing? What would you rank Gervonta Davis's career if he were to retire today?
Well, I feel like, listen, I know it's not going to be that popular, but the thing is, a lot of people shit on Gervonta's resume, and I think it's a little bit too. They're a little bit too harsh. I think he has some good wins, some world champions in there. Yes, can you find some little nitpicking things of him bringing champs up, or rehydration clauses? Yeah, you can find those little things to critique, but he's also still fought some good fighters. He's made a lot of money. The only thing I would say is if he did retire, I'd be a little bit disappointed, because I feel like with his skill set, he could have done a lot more. So, objectively, great. I think it was a good career. But with his skill set and his talents, I feel like it could have been even more, even greater. Mayweather, when he was with Mayweather, and they were like bringing him up, they were saying he was going to be the next Floyd Mayweather, the next face of boxing, all this type of stuff. So I think that'd be the biggest hit for the fans. We still wanted to see him fight Shakur Stevenson, try to go undisputed, maybe go up to 140 and fight some of those guys, but that would never happen. So that would probably be the hardest pill to swallow.
Yeah, I feel like for me, if he does retire and just never fights ever again, it would be a big. I would assess his career as a mid. I mean, it's what you said. You're saying that a lot of people would nitpick his opponents. I would say that's kind of true to some degree, and I think that's the reason why I say that his career would be very mid. It'd be a big what if, because he never truly fought any big opponent. I mean, as of right now, who would you say like top three? As of right now, like my top two would be like Pedraza and Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia never became, or as of right now, he has not become, or he has not been a world champion. Mm-hmm. So like you're giving a guy that you're putting him higher up on the list when he's never been a world champion.
I mean, Frank Martin, maybe.
Frank Martin, but like Frank Martin hasn't fought since he got knocked out.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like you can find nitpicking things. It depends what you mean. Like on paper, probably Ryan Garcia won't be up there because he's never been a world champion. But maybe you put him up there because the skills that he has. He's pretty dangerous with that hook. But I mean, he has fought. the probably the on paper the biggest name he's fought with the most accomplishments was Leo Santa Cruz. Because Santa Cruz has been like a 3 division maybe world champion, and he was dominating in those lower weight classes. That's a really good opponent. But obviously the nitpick comes. He moved him up weight. He moved him up to fight him at 130, I believe. Yeah. So that's when you can be like, okay, the nitpick. But like that's what I'm saying. It's like yes, you can find nitpicking things, but Hector Luis Garcia was a world champion when he fought him. Yeah, he brought him up. He was a world champion still. You know what I'm saying? Like he has fought world champions, but people just don't like that. They might have been from a smaller weight class, or they did this, they did that, or there's a rehydration clause or something like that. Listen, on paper, it's a world champion.
Yeah, look, listen, on paper, if he fights Shakur Stevenson, beats him, and then retires, then I'd be like, yeah, he was a hell of a fighter.
He ain't beating Sugar Shakur though. No, but I mean, and then Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach, champion at 130, and brought him up to 135. I mean, it's the thing is, I would give Gervonta a very B- level grading. I think thing that he did well was make a lot of money. I mean, the Ryan Garcia fight was a big money fight. Pitbull Cruz was a good money fight too. And he did, they did a good job navigating his career to making sure that he got the most out of every single opponent regarding, the cash and whatnot. So overall, they did a great job managing that. But yeah, I'd be very disappointed in his career if he were to retire. I mean, where's the Sugar Shakur, the whole Lomachenko allegations, ducking, never got fought Devin Haney when Devin Haney was at 135, this and that, 140. I mean, he only fought there once against Mario Barrios and said that he's never gonna fight there again. Yeah. I mean, it's a very I don't know, his career. It's It's very hard. You can take it as you want. Some people may say, "Oh, he's a hell of a fighter." Some people may not like it, but overall, I think it's an all right career.
I think if I were to really assess it, like in a very unbiased perspective, it'd be potential, but very short lived. Yeah.
I mean, they most like big, like credible guys. They'd always put him in the top 10. So I mean,
on the lower half of the top 10.
Yeah, but I mean, eight best boxer in the world. I mean, how do you assess that career? Eighth best. If your career was in the pound for pound ranking for like 2-3 years, you were like from 7 to 10 as the best fighter in the world. I mean, did you make it?
Yeah, you can still nitpick it though.
Of course you can, but like that's what I'm saying. Like he had great skills, great talent. I think that's what I'm saying. Just it would have been a little bit disappointing because I feel like he could have fought in better opponents. That's true, but listen, man, like I still think he did his thing. I still think he did his thing. I think he did fight world champions. So hopefully it's not true though, because I don't want to see him walk away from the sport. I think though he is a little bit fed up from it. I'm not exactly sure why. But it does seem like he's not really super interested in boxing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I kind of get that similar vibe. Yeah, man, I feel like, you can continue to like nitpick at some of the things here and there, but I feel like at the end of the day, like that statement, I truly view it as very unbiasedly. Like, I just think that he hasn't really fought the highest caliber opponents within his time frame, within the weight classes that he's fighting. We're talking about Lomachenko when Lomachenko was definitely rising up within the featherweights. Davis was right there too. Like he was always within the top 10 in every weight class he was fighting at. Within that 126, he was top 10 within 4 of the major sanctioning bodies. At 130, he was always the top 10 at the 4 major sanctioning bodies, 35 as well. And then throughout those years, he was also ranked within the top 10 within the pound for pound list. You know what I'm saying? Like every other year and whatnot. It just kind of really depend on the situation or the landscape of boxing as a whole. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like that statement always goes, they always look for the right fights at the right time. And I feel like within Davis's career, every time he would fight, it was a spectacle. He would always fill up every fucking arena. Like every arena would be booked. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of potential, but it was very short lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what happens next regarding Tank and his career, if the rumors are true, if they're not. But one thing's for sure, he wouldn't beat Sugar Shakur.
Okay.
I'm playing, but I think we covered everything we wanted to cover for today. Let us know down below, what would you rank Tank Davis's career? Also, let us know your top 5 best fighters at the 154 division. We'd like to hear them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're on X, Instagram, and TikTok. We're also trying to build up a community on Discord, so you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. Everything that I mentioned would be in the link in the description below. But this was Pablo, and I was Rudo Anasa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.